Hey traders, Shane from Global Market Trader. Welcome to our second video on the V2 series, which is our Deep Pullback Sell-setup. And we're looking here at our entry and stop. So let's go through and have a look at what are the requirements for a Deep Pullback Sell-setup. Now, some of our conditions are that we need price needs to be in a sell or short-term trend. So we basically need the trend to have established before we look to take a deep pullback. We need white candles or price bars confirming the sell or the trend. So if we're in a short term or a swing trading trend, it needs to confirm with the white candles. That tells us that it's a seller's market, or we're in a selling trend or a short trend. And to confirm that we have a potential setup, we need to see price close above the trend line initially, and that confirms the start of the deep pullback, and then we need to see price close back below the trend line. So let's have a look at how that looks on our chart. Traders, for the purpose of this video, I've gone with the 89 tick again and crude oil. So we're looking for a sell trend is confirmed with white candles. You can see there that price closes below, just on or below the level of support there, and that sets up the seller's trend, so the white candles. See, we get a nice little push down there, and then we get down to this level here at around about 111.72, and we get some support. The buyers come in, push the market back up, and you can see here that that our trend line is confirming. We've got a nice red trend line there, and it's visually showing us that the sellers are still in control, even though we've got a rally against the trend, so against the short-term trend. But what you'll see here is you'll see that our candles close just above that trend line, confirming that we have a potential pullback setting up. So then we're looking for either a 1 or 2 candle close back below the trend line. So for us to take a short-term sell setup, or a pullback, I should say, for us to take a pullback sell, deep pullback sell, we need to see price close back below, which we do on that candle there, and I'll mark that candle up on the chart. So that candle there at 8.29 confirms the close back below. And let's just have a quick look at our price bars, because that'll give us a little bit better look at price action there. And you can see there's our close above, just marginally closes above, and then we get our close back below just on this candle here, and I'll just set that up so you can visually see that. There's our candle close below. So if we're looking for our level 1 entry, so traders, you'll see there that we've got a close below that trend line on our first candle. That would be our first option for an entry, and that entry price there is, let's just grab that entry price, is at 111.90. Now our second option for an entry would be the second candle close below, which you'll see is just there, the very next candle or very next price bar, which is at 111.91. So there are our two entry options. Now, so we'll put down our entry is at 111.91. Now our stop is always the position 2 points above the previous swing high on a sell. So if we're going in on a sell setup, it's 2 points above the previous swing high, so that's at 111.97. So 2 points above would be 99. So just to adjust above the key level, we would run that at 111 or 112.01. So 112.01, 112.02 would be our stop. So let's go so we'll just put our stop in there at 112.02. So that's basically, this is the reason why we've got just our reward to risk is so good on these deep pullbacks, is because we've got very little risk in the trade. We've got 11 points there, so it's great to have. Just move this away, you'll see that our target is sitting there. We'll just move it down. at 111.67. So a good trade setup. There's our target, and you can see that price actually does get to that level. So we actually do push down. We don't hit it initially, get a pullback back up, and then price eventually hits that end of the trend level. So that would be our target point there, 111.67. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, you can actually, if you're manually trading this, you can work an entry up here on the level of resistance. So that would be 111.96, and that just means that you can work a lot tighter stop on a manual entry. And again, for a manual target, you can potentially work your target at the previous swing low if you're worried about a potential double bottom. So, but as the trade sets up, we're going for that end of the trend target, and that's our goal for the trade setup. So as soon as you see that dot appear, that's your fixed target. So what I generally do is I work a preset fixed target, which is about a 2 to 1. So if I've got a 15-point risk, I'll go for a 30-point target, and then when I see the dots appear on the line or on the chart, I'll actually adjust that target in to lock in the trade. If you are automatically trading or using the automation, then that automation is preset into the coding for the system, so you won't have to do any kind of manual adjustment there. That'll automatically pick that up. So one thing you'll notice here is that we don't actually have any volume, any buying divergence or buying spike in volumes. So that means that we're taking the trade without the filter because there's nothing that sets up. That's okay. You just need to be aware that if your goal is to only take the filter trades with divergence, then we don't have that set up on the chart. So just to confirm, we'll go back through the trade setup. There's the clear breakdown. We've got a trend sell. We get a price push back up into the trend line, and you'll see here that our dynamic trend line, that there's our point of resistance. We work our entry once we cross above our dynamic trend line and back below. That's there's the close below. That price bar shows us that. Then we're looking for either to take a trade off that entry there, or the very next price bar. Now, if you want to use and look at candles, we can change that over to show that represented in candles as well, and there it is there. So once we're into the trade, so you can either work your entry on automatically as soon as the price closes below, you can mark it in, or you can work a breakout of 1 point. But either way, you're in the trade, and then your target is that end of the trend setup, which will appear at the bottom of your chart. Once you're in the trade, you'll start to, as price moves down, you'll start to get a confirmation of the target. Now let me just remove for a second. I'll just remove, because I've got support and resistance loaded up on this chart. That's on there, but it'll come up with that solid red dot. So that'll be basically your target level, and for the purpose of this exercise, that's at 111.67, and you see price does eventually hit that. So my general rule of thumb is once we get to within 90% of my trade, if I'm manually trading it, I move my stop to break even on the entry. That way I've got no risk in the trade. Some people use the previous low as their target, or 1 point offset of the previous low. Up to you as to how you want to run your target on them. So traders, just to confirm, once we do have that end of trend setup, which is showing you where the potential target is, that's a good place to potentially working your limit order for taking profit. Now, typically with these trades that set up on the V2, the pullback trades, you're generally going to do better on a fixed target than running a trailing stop, particularly if there's been a sizable move beforehand. So you can obviously run a trailing stop, but may use something like the trailing stop here, or you can use the trend line as your trailing stop. See, that's our deep pullback setup. Thank you for your time, everybody, and look forward to our next training walkthrough. Cheers.